Well, hello there, everybody. It is Thursday. Just listening to a little bit of Spando Ballet. There was some really good music back there in the 80s and the 90s. Yeah, guess there's still good music today. But anyway, trust you're having fun. I hope you enjoyed the little playlist ahead of time. Yeah, I was sitting here and just, rocking out into the new world, my own world. And I said, why don't I share a little bit of this? And so, music is in my soul, as they would say. It's in yours too. Anyway, hope you're having fun, everybody. I've just been reading some of the comments in the chat room. Thank you. Thank you all for tuning in and listening and being a part of this. It's always a joy and a pleasure to get together when we do get that opportunity. And, the day will be forthcoming where, you know, we won't be meeting here. It's the eventuality. So we're loving every minute of it until then, right? So speaking favor over us all, nothing missing, nothing broken. As I look out here in the chat room, hello, Deborah. How are you, dear? Hot, huh? Grace says it's hot out there. How hot is it? It must be y'all out in the desert. Is that what I'm getting? And Scotty Boy, always a pleasure to see you. And Joyce. As well, I saw Gilbert, brother. How are you doing? A little warm here in Denver. It'll snow again, right? Inevitably. Scotty boy, yeah, the DJ and me is working. I had this thing one time where I was thinking about, um, you know, actually buying a radio station. I know it sounds weird, but yeah, I kind of figured it's like this, if I bought one, then I could play whatever I wanted, right? Yeah. Anyway, just a thought. Blazing River, good to see you as well as I scroll down to look at everyone. Lighthouse, good to see you as well. You're down in Texas, right? Houston, is that right? I think that's what I remember. Colleen, how are you, dear? Rick, good to see you, brother. Truth Wave, what's up? Good to see you. Yes, Purgatory Traveler. Haven't seen you in a while. How have you been? Hello, Stephanie Marie. Good to see you. And Jet, as I continue to pull down. John Price. Good to see you, brother. Jargo, what's up? So anyway, I trust that you are having fun no matter what you're doing. You think about it. Hell, if we don't have fun here, when are we going to have fun? Seriously. No. I remember in times past and um, someone said, well, you're not here to have fun all the time. Why not? That's what I'm kind of going. Well, why not? Why shouldn't we have fun here? They really know. Yeah, sometimes this place is just a little too weird. Someone was asking me, did I have a picture when I did construction? Don't know why someone would ask a question like that, but okay. Um, yeah, actually, I do. I think I was about, oh no, 25, I think, 25, 26, something like that. Yeah, believe that's the case. Um, I'll just pull it up here for everybody. Uh, wow, got my Union Whites on. Holy crap, Ola. So oh, mm. It's odd when you look at pictures of yourself, in this case, back, back. So anyway, for that person, here you go. So this, I think, was in 1982. So I was about 26, yeah. And I'm on top of the executive building at Anheuser-Busch. And to the left of me, that's the helipad where August Bush III would fly in his own helicopter. I got to know the guy. Um, we would go up there and, uh, well, to smoke a joint, to be honest with you. But that was back in the day. That was St. Louis way back in the early 80s. Yeah. Anyway, so much for that. So your request, I hope, has been fulfilled. Nothing more I can do. So there. Uh, you know, but anyway, so um Scotty boy, I was at the top of, I was a master journeyman at my young age. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, you know, the one thing I can say about, finishing drywall, as a taper is what they called us back in those days, was part of the painters union. Um, it was an art of a craft and which required um, a great deal of talent and technique in how to hold those blades. And I was damn good at it. I was really good at it. And I liked it because it was very meditative. I mean, it's difficult to master. It's not hard to do. It's just difficult to master. But anyway, Paul Joe says, "Yeah, I did have hair. Hmm. Absolutely. It's how it is. It's life. And ain't it fun?" So back in the day, and as I was saying, you get to meditate a lot. And I always enjoyed commercial work as opposed to residential. Residential was for those that weren't quite good in their craft. You put them in residential work. We were the elite. You worked in commercial work and particularly working in high-rise buildings and other type of things. Yeah. Anyway, hello, Jules. Good to see you, dear. Early in the morning for you. Just getting up or you just going to bed? I don't know which. It's already Friday over there for her. So anyway, I was reading some of the comments. Scotty Boy says it's still craft today. Yeah, it is. Yeah. They tried to do the machines with it, the bazookas, and then we had, you know, the angles and the banjo boxes is what we used to call them. But yeah, yeah, nothing replaces the hand technique, right? Anyway, so how the hell is everybody? Good to see you. Blazing River said I lived in St. Louis in the area in the 60s. Yeah. Yeah, it was at one time um so just to give everyone a heads up, Mike and Cindy over at Evolutionary Healing Arts, they're actually gonna, I think we're figuring about in April sometime, they're actually gonna do an interview of me and get an opportunity to, share some things. Looking forward to that. But anyway, so when I came out of construction, as an entrepreneur all the time, I always did side jobs because the great thing about it, if you have a craft or a trade, you'll never go hungry. I mean, yeah. And so then had this vision and it was a cool time to be. It was during the Reagan administration and the stimulus for getting the economy going because of Carter, who had crashed it, was enterprise zones. And so I left the trades and went into the video industry, which was pretty, it was still emerging. Even when I got into it, they were still using quad tape and had no technical background for it. But I believed that I could put in a world-class production, post-production facility. And we made it happen. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. Chris, what's up? Uh, had this happened at my son's. Oh, how cool is that? Yeah, kind of where you are now in life and where you have been. Yeah, that is kind of cool. Um, But anyway, what y'all didn't tune in for this because I think we got one of those topics. It's becoming ever increasingly clear that Homo sapiens sapiens are easily manipulated. That includes myself. Um, and the two biggest viruses, mind viruses that live here. I mean, you can look at it at a collective consciousness that permeates everything here. But the two traps are religion and politics. They're one and the same, actually. Um, it is a powerful deity. Um, it's an entity for sure. And it is so multiversed in its structure. And I was caught into it. You know, the brainwashing is an aspect of the mind control. I was reading some things on this, and one of the things that governments know and know very well, they know how to manipulate us. The media is nothing more than brainwashing and mind control. They have the vast majority of us hypnotized. And the fact that they've now been able to transcend from the original Black Mirror device, the early days of television, right? Vision. Why did they call it that? Think about it. TV, vision. Don't tell me this shit ain't all planned, you know. And anyway, and then it was really interesting because they took that medium and then integrated it to what can only be deducted at this point of a system that's been here for a very long time. It doesn't need electricity. It is electricity in a sense. But anyway, and in order to conquer the world, you had to get the world addicted to this thing. And today, it's won that battle. I mean, you can go in the most remote parts of the desert, um, jungles, forest, and you still have cell phones, smartphones. They're everywhere. So, this living mind virus that it's parasitic, it feeds off of us. Because once we're exposed to it, it's very difficult to cleanse yourself out of it. Because you can do a man on the street interview. Um, when I was into broadcast, um, that's why I'm so comfortable in front of a camera. I love it. Do you know I did a audition for the Home Shopping Network back in the days when they were first starting? I found out very quickly that you can talk and never say anything, and then you can say something that talks a lot. But anyway, I digress. So, um, when it merged into this, it captured us. We devote, listen, a great deal of our time to these things. It's here. And you look at what's happening, and I'm wondering, all right, so everything evolves, right? It may be in cycles, but is a cycle that once was, is it going to be like it in the future? Will it be similar? Will there be anomalies within it? Do cycles evolve? We talk about all of us that we're here to evolve. We're here to what? To experience? One could say learn, but that is so ambiguous. What are we supposed to learn? I mean, I can't learn what you're supposed to learn. You can't learn what I'm supposed to learn, but we're supposed to be learning something, right? Um, and so if everything evolves, then that means cycles evolve, and it means that it's not always going to be perpetual, right? And this mind virus, this brainwashing, it's so clever because even if you think that you've had nothing to do with it, you've actually have had a lot to do with it. The fact that we're born in the Western culture here, where depending on where you are in the world, um, you're born into a system. Your brain will become adaptive to this mind control, this mind virus. And it is a subtle thing. And it got me to thinking, okay, everyone talks about looking for the answer. How did it get started? Many times when I ask the question about the soul or spirit, I'm asking questions. I already have a formulated construct of my own, but I always challenge that inner construct because if you don't, you become hard. You become less flexible. Um, your mind begins to change. There's a difference between, in this case, I'll be 70 in June. Um, and you look at my mind compared to the average male in that age demographic, and you can see a clear, distinct difference. There are some minds that they just start getting old, they age, then they become rigid and they become, their beliefs become so ingrained that they become hard. Not mine. I'm going to go out going, well, I'm not really sure what to expect, but I didn't know what maybe to expect when it came in here. And if there is this master control system, then the question is logically, well, how do we get out of it? I left Christianity because I came upon some truths. And those truths were in direct conflict of what my core beliefs were. And I appreciate the dark night of the soul that I went through. It sucked. Wasn't that enjoyed? Didn't kill me. It wasn't pleasant, but came out, and then I found myself, all right. So I began to say, all right, I have to begin to question these beliefs I had. And then that carried over into the political side of it. And I'll tell you, I was in those inner circles that if you don't think politics and religion, I mean, they're courtesing each other constantly. It was, I saw it. Some of you have been around in those circles, I'm assuming. I mean, glad you made it out, right? But yeah, I mean, I have people that look at me now and just shake their head. Say, man, that dude changed. Yeah, indeed I did. There's absolutely no doubt about it. So I want to spend the rest of our time going through, and it's interesting. I have bookshelves that go across this part of the office, and this book fell down. Okay, so I'm picking it up, and I'm going, hmm, how interesting. This has an absolutely that these two are connected. So we're going to spend a little bit of time um, with a book that I think that you're going to enjoy. I don't know if we've actually covered this one, and I don't think we have. There's when you start the thousands of videos, you get a little lost in. But this is from the Illuminati News. It's The Dialogue with the Hidden Hand, Self-Proclaimed Illuminati Insider by Wes Perrine, the Illuminati News, December 27th, 2008. And I just thought this was so interesting. So let's just have a little fun reading this together. If you're out there in the garden working or whatever you're doing, enjoy. Just have favor over you. You know, that's the thing that I speak. All right, it says this self-proclaimed Illuminati insider appeared on the above top secret forum in October 2008. Amazing. And we're almost, 20 years. But 17 years ago, giving away information about the Illuminati. And if you think about 2008, guess what? Smartphones weren't around in 2008. There were no payment systems in mobile applications around in 2008. The internet was still struggling to get to 1 megabyte per second. We were still, many of them were in kilobytes. Mobile phones in the communication industry was still in the transition from a analog to a digital format. We have really think about where we've come. It's like someone has interrupted our memories again. But anyway, the reason for this, he says, is because time is right for us to know some of what is going on behind the scenes. And when he explains why he needs to reveal it now, it's very convincing. In this article, I will post the dialogue between the above top secret forum member and the hidden hand in its entirety. He goes on and says on the prelude of this says, take time to read it through the whole dialogue. He says, I know it's long, but it'll be worth it for you in the end. Um, when you read it, you need to have an open mind. I think we have that here. You can't be stuck in dogma. We just talked about that. Or think you have it all figured out. We talked about that. I mean, I tell people all that, listen, I don't know what I know, you know? And that's what I think is sometimes allows you to keep in the rails, right? Uh, but you can't have this mental attitude, well, I know more than you. Okay. No one's got it figured out. But you can't have that attitude because then it doesn't matter what he says, you're not going to believe it anyway. He goes on to say some of the points. So I want to get into the conversation. So this is an interview, right? And this person is from the fifth dimension, not the group. It is the dawning of the age of Kerber, right? Yeah. So he is from the fifth dimension realm. Okay. So little basis. HH. I am a generational member of the ruling bloodline family. Ever so often, as per the directives of the law of our Creator, a brief window of opportunity opens whereby a select handful of our family are required to make communication with our subjects and offer you the chance to ask us any questions you would like answered. I am double bound in this duty. It is required of me by the law of our Creator to offer this opportunity to you at this time, though I am also bound by the law of planetary free will and by family oaths, that there is only so much I am able to say. Now, when I did the Bloodline Invaders, this was part of that played a role into that. The whole series was one of the first ones I did, was the downloads were coming so quickly, and it's a really good series. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Um, if you wish to participate, here they are. There are rules in to define life in games. One, I will afford you courtesy and respect in the manner I address you, and I expect the same from you in reciprocation. I will decide whether or not I am either willing or permitted to answer your question. If your question is not answered, it is either because I cannot disclose it or because I consider your question was lacking in one or more of the following: respect, courtesy, intelligence, decency, or that it was otherwise unworthy of being dignified with a response. I mean, that's a backhand compliment. It's like, geez, okay. It's like someone coming up to you and saying, dumbass, it's like, what? Um, Three, that you agree to treat this potential dialogue with an aspect of provincial faith. In practice, this means that rather than impeding the flow of information with crass comments of disbelief or petty name calling, my participation here requires of you that you discourse with me under suspended judgment. In other words, wait until the process is complete before deciding for yourself as to the content of truth and knowledge imparted herein. And by the way, this is on PDF. Um, I have the hard copy because, well, I like books, right? Someone wrote me and said, I like books too. Yeah, we all do. Four, that you formulate your questions intelligently. My time is limited, and I do not want to waste it by having to trawl through pointless, futile, insensible, and disrespectful questions. Therefore, I will answer the questions I feel are most deserving of a response during the time that I have available. Use the time we have wisely. If any of the above conditions are breached, I reserve the right to terminate our discourse forthwith, if I so choose. That being said, I will attempt to answer your questions as honestly and openly as is permissible for me. I will check back and respond as time follows. So the ATS, this is the group that asked the questions. How many generations back does your bloodline extend? Or perhaps more accurately, who does your family consider its earliest ancestor in a position of power? This higher being comes in and says, our lineage can be traced back beyond antiquity, so pre-Adamic times. From the earliest times of your recorded history and beyond, our family has been directing the play from behind the scenes in one way or another. Before the rise and fall of Atlantis, yes, that was indeed perfectly real. We are born to lead. It is part of the design for this current paradigm. Question: to what extent has selective breeding been used to preserve the purity of the line? And what becomes of children of unapproved unions? They would naturally still be raised with privilege, but not, perhaps, given the keys to the castle, as it were. The answer: the breeding is generally case specific, dependent upon the role that the family members in question are due to grow into. I will touch more on this in an answer to the next poster's question that you rephrased. There are no unapproved unions. Our family will always intermarry between lines, or what we would term houses. Marriages are arranged. In all my years alive, I have never seen or heard of a family member breaking this code. As far as marriages go, you do as you are told. One cannot join the family, one is born or incarnated into it. On the rare instances of a child being born that could have been seen as bringing difficulties, you are correct in your premise that it would be raised as part of the family, though would not grow up in the house or community of either of its parents. Wow. Damn. Question. If one were to imagine a scale, perhaps as a triangle, with political, religious, and corporate power at the 3 points, how would you characterize the power your family yields? Balanced, learning more towards one or to two than a third, heavily favoring one of the three above the others, and has that position shifted over time? Answer. You need to first understand the structure of the family. In the grand scheme of things, the line is not as important as the house. The house is not as important as the family. The family is all, no matter the house or line. We are only truly international family. So they're the one family. Okay. Imagine, if you will, a body. A house would represent a vital organ or body part within the body itself. Each part has an important role to play in the functioning of the whole. And to each of us, the whole has our undivided loyalty. As I say many times, far more than you are aware of. One family. Our realms of influence do not fit as comfortably into the 3 boxes of your triangle as you may imagine. There are 6 disciplines of training within the family, and each member of the family is schooled extensively in all of them from early childhood. We all have an area of speciality, though we have experiences in all spheres. The 6 spheres or schools of learning are military, government, spiritual, scholarship, leadership, and sciences. In practice, out there on the stage of public life, we hold key positions in all of these main areas of importance. Within the addition of a complicit media machine and ownership of your financial establishments, all bases are covered. I will have to reply in parts due to the restriction of characters per post. All right, so there's Napoleon. We've all seen the hidden hand, right? Still used today. Charles and the family. You over here in America too, huh? All right. Question. Which ruling bloodline family? Rockefellers? That may be a bit too direct for our inquisity. I'd offer the following substitute. How many parallel bloodlines do you estimate are in similar positions to your own? And to what extent does your family see them as either competition or collaborators? Answer. Yes. As I say, knowing the line is of no practical use to you. It is the belonging to the family that is important. There are 13 base or core original bloodlines. Yet there are many, many other lines that spring from these, as do rivers from the oceans. If you imagine the 13 original lines as primary color, that can be mixed to create a vast array of other colors. then you will have some comprehension. Again, no competition, just family. No competition in the sense of house against house, though it is a dog eat dog world. So there is interpersonal competition in that sense of the word. Everyone wants to move up. Our whole familial society is geared that way toward upward progression. Question: what does the term generational member mean? Which generation specifically? Answer: it means that one is born into the family. The order and its agenda is handed down from generation to generation. Only in extremely rare occasions have outsiders ever been invested into the family. And then, even these were of other esoterically integratable lines. I actually have no idea what that means. I know what the word is, but I'm trying to figure out, okay, so I mean I can see it in my head, you're doing the phone tree line. It's like, okay. Can you cite two or more previous instances whereby this directive has been upheld? Answer: once in 1999 to what you would call an alternative media source. Once in 2003 on another internet conspiracy-based forum, though the information relayed was not entirely pure, not from the intention of misleading, but rather through imperfect or incomplete knowledge of the messengers. If it is not in the mainstream controlled media, it will not be believed by the masses. There's that brainwashing, that mind control. And it's crazy. Um, if you think today, I was talking recently to someone, and they're very much into TikTok. I mean, like really into it. And it's interesting because listening, um, I guess the average thing in TikTok, I don't use TikTok, so is that they constantly push new information, constantly pushing it, and it's snippets, not in depth like we do in deep dives here, and that's a form of mind control, and it's just blatantly used. I'm going, doesn't anyone else see this? No. And I have been caught up in it myself. I mean, in the early days of the net, but yeah. Ah, this is information tailored for those who already know that we are very real and exerting a strong, if mostly subtle, influence over your lives. If you wish to enslave a man, allow him to believe that he is already free. Okay, I think it's a fair question to ask right here of those who are listening, and thank you for replying. If you're listening in the chat room, let me know here. So, how many of you believe that you are actually free? That all your decisions are as a result of your own free will? And why do you believe that? Do you believe that you're really sovereign? It's the question that has to be asked, well, then where does thought originate? And whose thought? If you take some of the codes in the Solomonic writings, he says that there's nothing new known to man, which implies that we're in some kind of freak cycle and that we never seem to be breaking the cycle. So if we can't break the cycle, then how free are we? How free are you? Just a question. Next question. By what basis is the timing of such revelations established? Answer. By the decree of the Supreme World Council according to the will of the Creator. Well, I wonder if the Supreme World Council, um, could it be representative of the pantheons of past societies? You know, Olympus, etc. But there appears to be a World Council. Question. Are we really considered chattel and traded as such by the governments? Boy, I got the shows I did on the birth certificates. Yeah. Answer by this higher being. Um, by the governments, generally, yes. People are seen as collateral pawns that are maneuvered around the chessboard according to the game plan. By the family, contrary to popular beliefs, many of us do not mean you any harm directly. That's still got a funky smell to it. That's all I got to tell you. Just like, man, all right, so you're telling me you're not my friend, but you're telling me you're not my enemy either, huh? Okay. There is just the matter of divine destiny to uphold. So divine destiny, is that only selected to a group and everybody else is just in a crapshoot? I mean, is there a divine destiny for all of us? This would suggest no. Um, to uphold and unfold, and we must play our parts in the game as given to us by the Creator. In many ways, it is actually in our own interest that you are prepared for the coming harvest. Jenny, Trina, remember we talked about this when I had this gleaming. But here it is. And again, this is 17 years ago when they printed this. Uh, so preparing for the coming harvest. Just not maybe prepared in quite the way that you would like. I mean, I almost get the feeling like I'm reading a cookbook and we're the main ingredient. Cheers, everybody. Um, Still, even then, you are choosing the negative polarity with your own free will decisions, with a little help and direction from us. Souls are harvestable in either extreme of the polarities, one could say. Again, I'm a simple man, simple philosopher. So, this soul thing, what makes it so freaking valuable? I mean, even if you take this discourse outside of, let's say, canonical scripture, right? But you look at all the other kind of belief systems, even politics is a play for a person's soul. Many a person has sold her soul to this entity. And here, this family member is saying, well, hey, listen, doesn't really matter. You're always going to choose the negative side. Even if you think you've got free will and that you can choose the positive polarity. But then you get this little thing with a little help from my friends, right? Um, the, the fact that it's in parentheses, right, that help and direction from them. But that last sentence, I mean, that one is, that's just unsettling. Souls are harvestable in either extreme of the polarities, one could say. What do we see today? Wow, there's such extremes of polarity right in front of us. And then you see the media, they all are active. In fact, that's what the media is, the tendrils of the beast. And they get inside your soul. They get all the way down into your head. And they once they get in there, it's very difficult to extract those tendrils out. You can do it. But it's even worse because it's now um, propagated so greatly. It's freaking everywhere. And look at this. I mean, they're talking about harvesting our souls. Do they have a soul? I don't know. Uh, Question. If so, how do we become free men? Answer. You will never be free. For as long as you are incarnating on this planet, the very nature of your being here is indication of that. There is a reason why you are here, and here is very likely not really where you think here is. How do you become free? Well, by working out where you are and coming to an understanding of why you are here. You are fast running out of time to do so before the coming harvest. Those that don't make it will have to repeat the cycle. Hmm, I'll just let that sink in. Remember, we're just reading apparently what was this member of the family stepping down off Mount Olympus to come down off the ivory tower and having, a little chat with us. Question. Is the Messiah alive today? The answer. There is no Messiah. Stop looking outside of yourself for salvation. Is there what you might call a Christ consciousness alive? Then yes, in a matter of speaking, though not in your third density dimensional awareness. Question. Is it the end times as described in the book of Revelation? It's revelation, not revelations, but I guess you do get a lot of revelations from the revelation. Answer. Yes, not just described in the book of Revelation, but also in the prophecies of virtually every other religion, spiritual philosophy, and mystery tradition throughout history. This time is now at hand. To use your own example, however, and they quote Revelation 14, it's been quoted in a lot of movies as well. It says, Then I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and on the cloud sat one like the Son of Man, having as head, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him, capital H, who sat on the cloud. Thrust in your sickle and reap, for the time has come for you to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. So he who sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. I mean, that's just no matter how you want to slice it and dice it, that's just bad news for us, us terrestrials. Ah, the earth is indeed ripe for harvest. The question is, who will be ready? And will the harvest be positive or negative? Question: how do you justify that the current British royal family line is the true bloodline, but the Ishmael is not the true receiver of Abraham's gift? If you're true bloodline, you'll know what I mean. So, do you know what it means here? Well, okay, so just to give a narrative so filling in some information. You may already know it, but there's those who may not. So, what they're saying here is that if you look on the Abrahamic belief systems, Abraham was given the promise. All right. And if you go by tradition, then the first son inherits what the father estate. But here's the deal. So you know the story of Sarah. What's that was her Sumerian name. But so back then, men could have a wife, they could have a couple of wives, they could have a wife and have concubines. So, anyway, the story goes that Abraham was doing the nasty with Haggai, who was the concubine, who apparently she was pretty hot, but so was Sarah. But Sarah was like all, jealous over the bitch. But Abraham went and got her pregnant. And so technically, that would make Ishmael the firstborn. And this is why we have the conflict in the Middle East today, because you have one religion, which is Islamic, which stands that it was Ishmael who received the promise from Yahweh, from Jehovah, Allah, and that Isaac is the bastard son that never did inherit because he was not, in fact, the firstborn. We live in the reality to where Isaac did inherit. So there you go. But the thing about it is, when Michael came down, because Sarah got all pissed off, So then Sarah got pregnant. And so she sent the bitch out. She said, I want her out of the camp. She's gone. Well, Abraham, he didn't have any balls, so he said, "All right, you got to go." And loaded her up with this baby, and off in the desert they went. But then Michael comes down, and Hagar, wanting to die, is going to kill Ishmael. The archangel says no. But here's the deal: Ishmael will become rich. He'll actually rule over Isaac because they will have all the oil of the ground. True story. Don't know why I got down that line, but it just brought that all out. So the harvest, all right, bloodlines, yeah. Let's see what the answer is. Who says it is the true line? There were ruling bloodlines long before your Yahweh and his Christianity arrived on this planet. Yahweh is a creator, not the one infinite creator. There are others and higher gods than him. Ultimately, all are a part of the one, and either consequently, consciously or unconsciously, exercising their free will to create. Begin to study outside the box for a true understanding of the creation. We're probably going to go over a little bit because I don't know if I'm going to be doing a show tomorrow, but got chores to do, as they say, and it's going to be at like 84 degrees. So I'm going to be getting on my mower. Oh, yeah, love that thing. But anyway, I digress. So, Colleen, I'm thinking of you as I'm reading this. So here is a position that says, listen, yeah, Yahweh exists, but he ain't saying what he's not what he's saying he is. You've now got agents that purposely manipulated the data, forged the data, and but here's the fact. Yeah, he is a creator. He can do that shit. Um, and apparently he's not that good at it, apparently. Um, but there are higher ones than him. Now, here's all that Bible stuff in my head, right? So I immediately go to Psalms 84, where I know that they're talking about this Supreme Council, where Yahweh is a part of. And in their meeting, all of a sudden, this door opens up and in walks numeral, El Supremo. And El Supremo, he's pissed. He looks over at Yahweh's and he says, if there's anyone that can fuck up a wet dream, Yahweh, you're the one. Look at the freaking mess you did. And here's the thing, Yahweh has the same curse that he cursed us with. Yahweh was told, you will die just as what you caused Adam to die. I don't know if you knew that or not. But anyway, um, the British royalty is not the most powerful line. The names that you know do not hold the real ancient power. There are others above these lineages in the hierarchy. You will not know the names of these lines. Question. OP. What proof do you have that ruling elite families exist and that you're a member of one? It's something that I think you thought was not falsifiable, which is why you choose that identity for the story you're weaving. However, I think there may indeed be a way you can prove it. So now he's being challenged like, all right, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. That's not difficult to comprehend. If you find something that someone is saying and you're going to believe in it, then you have to see the equal evidence to the claim. Um, so he comes back and answers, I have no need to prove anything to you. I am merely doing my duty as directed to me. Believe or do not believe. We are divinely indifferent. The biggest insult you can do, particularly where you're out coming out of bad relationships, there is something that's even beyond hate. It's indifference. I mean, like, holy shit, okay. And that's just like really a smack in the face. Like, can't you got to get up here a little bit higher? It's like, okay. And that makes sense to me. It's like I don't have to prove a damn thing to you. Believe it or don't. Um, I'm obligated to complete this task here. The end result is of no consequence to me. I will have discharged my duty in handing down certain information that must be released at this time. There is no stipulation as to where I do so, only that I do. I choose above top secret as the general level of intelligence, comprehension, and reasoning is reckoned to be higher than in any or many such forums. I think he would find his place here. I think the family, I invite them to come on. As I said, my dream interview would be Lucifer. She's got a story to tell. Understand, due to the law of free will, so that's, yeah, I have done shows on free will. But when I see things like here and understanding the power of legalese, always gets me to thinking, we assume a whole lot. And you find so often that what you assume is not quite what you were thinking. Um, I cannot give you information, at least not without consequences to my own person, which I would rather avoid. Self-preservation, I dig that. It is an infringement upon your free will, your right to not know. You don't hear that often said. I see sometimes in incidences where people will say, well, I have a right. Well, but you also have the right not to know. Hmm. I wonder how that works out. You have to ask me for the information you want. Only then can I provide it. It's often said that so many people, if they were um, in a box and they have already the key, but they have to have the ability to comprehend, to reason, in order to get out of their box, that most people would give up and just simply make the box home. Hmm. So, whilst there are important things I have to share, if I am not asked the questions, too bad. I cannot get that information to you. I am hopeful that synchronicity will bring the most important questions of real depth out from among you. That's why this group would be ideal. We got synchronicity off the freaking scale. Wow, what has happened to the time? I'm probably going to go over a couple more minutes. Um, my duty is to offer. Yours is to ask. My duty is fulfilled whether or not yours is. Question. Surely, if ruling elite families exist and you're a member of one, then you must be controlling global events through world governments. Tell us of one major government action from any country that's going to occur in the next 5 days. I won't be surprised when you refuse to do so. Answer. On September 10th, 2008, I am not at liberty to discuss such intimate, immediate detail, and in many cases, I am not far enough up the hierarchy to know anyway. Typically, I would receive a call a day before the enactment of a major event, just to say something along the lines of, this part of such and such a plan will take place tomorrow in such and such a way. Do not be alarmed. Also, one has to take into account the specific areas of specialty uh, I mentioned previously. My area is in spirituality. So my focus is not so much on geopolitical events. I am aware of the overall design, though the finer points are not often my area of expertise. You almost want to say, is this person human? I'm prepared to give you, and I get the idea, and when I said that, I had this picture just flash in my head, just like that, of this freaking reptilian. Um, I'm prepared to give you some things coming down the timeline that you will be able to look back upon and verify my predictions retrospectively. So here it is. The stock markets will soon complete their controlled demolition. After an initial appearance that the bailouts and rescue packages have steadied the ship, there will be new record lows by the end of the month. Hmm, it's interesting. So you know what date September 10th, 2008 was, right? So let's go back in time. Um, And I am going to be the news reporter. Breaking news. Both presidential party candidates have suspended their campaigns. They are both immediately being ushered into the Oval Office, whereas the President Bush is giving apparently some important meeting. Now, if you remember what happened on September 10th, 2008, we were literally 1 second away from a complete financial collapse of the whole system, the entire fucking system. And if you remember, John McCain suspended his campaign. Barack Obama basically did not officially suspend it, but basically shut things down. They were both ushered into the Oval Office with then President Bush. So that's why that date, when I saw that, I went, oh, this is interesting. And the following did happen. Um, Our financial institutions will later call in all loans. There will be many bankruptcies and foreclosures, of which there were. The only way John McCain will become the next U.S. president will be if something happens to Barack Obama before the election, if there even is an election. If a certain faction get their way, there will not be. Remember, behind the scenes, there is only one party, one party. Democracy is an illusion which is created to uphold your slavery. Whichever side wins, the family always wins. There are many possibilities and alternative scripts. All of them lead toward an ultimate implementation of the overall blueprint of our Creator. Unless any unforeseen disruptions delay its announcement, there will be a new currency by the end of 2008, 2009. I can just address this because I was in payment at the very deep. We were developing pay at the table. I was getting the idea of how the design, the first mobile payment system. So there was a lot going on here, and there was, in fact, the um, what do they call it? The Amiro, the new dollar that was going to be Canadian, US, and Mexico. Things happened that changed that, but it's interesting to read that. Um, January has been spoken of in some circles as the latest, though there are plans underway which could even bring this into fruition much earlier than initially hoped for. It depends upon the results of other upcoming events as to how this will play out. I'm not high enough up in the hierarchy to know the intimate details of the dates and times that far in advance. There is a tree system in which such knowledge is passed down, and as and when it comes to a need to know, I would be considered to be a regional leader. Above me are national and international. Um, then we'll kind of wrap it up here. San Francisco and Damascus will be uninhabitable by the end of 2010. Well, we know that didn't happen, so something happened. Although I could probably say San Francisco looks like that today. It's inhabitable, and Damascus, without any doubt, is, you know, yeah. So anyway, we may look this up on the next time we get together. We'll look at what he has to say. That one there, I guess, could really be subject to interpretation. I don't know what uninhabitable actually means unless they're saying that, something of a cataclysmic nature happened. And the only thing I know that happened in 2010 was that our financial system was taken over. But hey, what do I know? Let's get into things on the media. So we'll look at this maybe a little bit more in depth. But I did find it interesting, the background on the supposed lizard people. I don't think they're human. I really don't. I don't think that we as a species are in control. I mean, even if you look at the two modalities that we're talking about, brainwashing, mind control, um, it it sets us up as any way you look at it, we're down here. That there's something else higher up here because there was some type of fall, right? Which that's nonsense. I mean, think about this logically, because we never hear the history of those other genesis of man. So we know that sapiens had sex and interbred with the Neanderthals. The same thing with, I mean, Homo sapiens they'll have coitus with anything. Um, so there had to be this period of time that we just don't have any idea about. And we must have been carrying a virus, sapiens, because it didn't take that long and we wiped out all the other tribes. And I, it's like, we got this gap. And I can't help but not think that we were the virus. We were manipulated. I really think that sapiens are in fact an artificial genus of man. And it's very clear that we're not in control. Things are out of control. And it just has the scent of being manipulated, you know? All right. How's everyone in the chat room? I have to go back and read some of this. Um, well, Stephanie Marie, thank you. Neanderthals got to paint graffiti on. Brian, I love it, man. Exactly. And man, they could really paint. Think about that, you know? It's always quite amusing to think about how they did that. There's shit that we just don't know about. That's all I got to say. And I think if it ever happens that we really do find out these missing pieces of history, our history, I think it's going to freak our ass out. I mean, I think that we'll just go back crap crazy even more than what we already are because we won't be able to handle it. People will say, "Oh, no fucking way that is that possible." Yeah. I mean, I used to be one of these cats that believed that, this Jesus cat was going to come back on this horse, his spaceship, whatever, and, and that, everybody was just going to be with open arms. No, no. If the reality is, if that ever happened, the world would go instantaneously into war. You would have those that are interpreted as a return, as a direct threat or takeover of the earth. Then you got those on earth that are going, hell no. We're going to fight this thing. In fact, I saw a B-rated movie from an independent film guy, and actually it was quite interesting because they kind of painted that scenario that these angels, um, that when they started walking and they would put them in outside the perimeters of the cities, and as they would walk in, they had this ability of these lights coming off and this rays and it would hit humans and just obliterate them. But anyway, who knows? Well, have y'all selves a good weekend. If I don't make it tomorrow, if I do, well, that's cool. If I don't, well, have yourselves a great weekend. You know, continue to learn. That's the thing. And thank you for hitting the like button as you're on the way out. Um, just interesting. And there is some salacious parts. I may just do this on Wednesday. I mean, on Monday. There is some really interesting yet comments yet to come. It's like, yeah. So I might do that because it's a fun book. Uh, who knows? I don't know if it's real or not. I didn't write it. I didn't channel it, but it is titillating information. Hey, Nina, she says, check her out on Sunday. There you go. Fields, what's up? Surely our highest purpose on this plane of existence is to learn how to fly a spaceship. But I like that. Yeah, absolutely. Grace, the aliens in space are watching a shit. Yeah. You know what it is? They got the bet, because they got casinos in the spiritual realm. And so I'm looking at the current odds, and the odds aren't looking good in our favor, folks. That's all I got to tell you. And they're heavy bettors over there. Man, jeez. Lion Rex, all the best right back at you. Robert V, check him out. Yeah, Robert V, it is. Check it out. It's called The Hidden Hands. Tells it all. And it's not a very thick book. But it's again titillating reading. That's all I can see. And make sure to check out Robert. You got your show tomorrow night as well. So, all right. Much love to all you folks. It is always fun, and I hope I left you some things that go, hmm. Yeah, what is it? Those things that make you go, hmm. All right. Have yourselves a great weekend. We will see each other again. I can assure you as I am going out and as I wait.